Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and today we're going to be looking at something. I may sound a little excited, a little over the top, and maybe borderline freaking nuts because I see hope. Alright, I see hope, and you guys might be like, what the hell are you talking about, Walrus? You are losing your mind for reals this time. Why are you on Kuki Shinobu saying there's hope? Right, this character is as far away from hope as I am getting 10 back-to-back Kazuhas on an Ito banner. Alright, hear me out, okay? I say this mostly because that for the majority of the past couple of patches, I have stopped looking at the game in its current state. I know it's kind of weird. Why would I not perceive the game in its current state? It's because I understand Hoyoverse has already set their sights on Sumeru, on Dendro. And the fact that I mentioned Dendro, some of you guys should be already connecting the dots, because who's another character? Honestly, just think, who's another character who shares very similar traits, I guess, or talent scaling with Kuki Shinobu? And to remind you, it's also an Electro character, and a character that we've had gripes with. The character just doesn't feel complete in a sense. And to answer your question, the character in question is indeed Yae Miko. And the reason why I think this shows a lot of potential is that Hoyoverse has been thinking about Dendro. In fact, they've been planning for Dendro before we were even told of its existence. So a character like Yae Miko, who currently doesn't have their artifact set. Now that's interesting. Right now, currently, Kuki Shinobu uses the 4-piece Millilith set for the most part, and with a conflicting scaling option being HP and Elemental Mastery. This is weird because for the most part, you want HP if you want to get her healing roll to be maximized and efficient. However, why scale it off of Elemental Mastery? As you guys can see here, Elemental Mastery will be increasing the healing amount and the damage dealt. Again, who is building damage through Kuki Shinobu? Right now, there are some weird ragtag teams where you can build like Overload, Electro Charge, and Super Conduct. I guess it's all in one. Just mishmash them all together like a weird electro-centric reaction bang fest. But I really don't think this talent and this character and also Yae Miko was truly designed for what is currently available in the game. Call it reaching, call it copium, whatever the hell you want. But I feel like that these characters are not meant to fully realize their potential until we get to Sumeru, until we get a couple Dendro characters. Hell, maybe even a year down the line, a character might come out that fits so well with these characters. I don't know. But playing Kuki, yeah, she fulfills a role in the game, I guess, if you want to play her in an Electro Charge team as a healer. But then again, for the most part, Kokomi dominates a lot of those team comps. I don't see anybody giving up Kokomi to slot in Kuki, especially if you already built Kokomi and you now have to build up another character just so you can run the same team in a different way. Now, one of the ways people can take advantage of this character is if you are relatively new to the game and you want to build, let's say, a freeze team, you want Kokomi in your freeze team, or if you just want Kokomi in an alternate team, sure, building up Kuki will free up Kokomi to be able to slot into other good teams that you can challenge Abyss with. Now, of course, like I said, this is for people who don't have any other options. For the most part, nowadays, people are still heavily relying on Raiden national teams, Hu Tao teams, Ito teams, of course, right? These hyper carry teams are still very popular. It just feels like Electro currently still doesn't really have its place apart from Electro Charge teams, and Kuki coming in is not going to be like, oh, suddenly Overload, it's really good. She is a very forgettable character. I'm telling you guys, it's like she doesn't even exist for the most part. Maybe I'm sounding harsh. Maybe some of you guys are like, oh, how dare you? But I'll be honest with you guys, this game as its current state could do without Kuki. It could do without Yae Miko. Alright, I'm just being brutally honest because the game right now has nothing, and I mean close to nothing, that these characters are designed for. They're literally just alternative options to alternative options. They're the sub for the sub. If you guys know basketball, they're not even on the bench, my friend. Alright, these guys are like in the stands without their uniforms cheering on their team, even though they they show up to practice for the games. But that doesn't mean you should completely disregard them, because I'll be damned to say that Hoyoverse is planning to shake up the meta, and depending on how they make Dendro reactions work, Electro units who scale through EM might be the premier options to synergizing with Dendro characters. Say if you want to build a team with an Electro Dendro reaction, you're not going to be able to really utilize, let's say, Kaching, Beidou, Razor, even Raiden Shogun might not have great reactions, but they might still work in some weird synergistic way. Characters that scale off of EM that will reward you for building EM in them. So not only does the character itself benefit as it all ties into the kit, the reaction itself also benefits greatly. So you can lean into both avenues. Sure, you can be like, well, I can still run my Raiden Shogun, I can supercharge the Dendro characters to get them use their burst faster, which then creates a cycle of burst spamming, euphoric random BS go situation. That works. That's the power of Raiden. That's why Raiden is such a good character, right? That utility feature. But understand that a peak performing team oftentimes is not just simply about the utility features. The reactions take up the majority of the heavy lifting when it comes to crushing through Abyss. It doesn't matter how good your utility is, if you can't fully utilize the potential of your team's reactions, your team could only be functioning at maximum 50%. I would even give it less. I'd say you're only functioning at about like 30%. Now, of course, non-reaction teams exist. They're called mono teams. Mono teams rely on team buffers to buff specific elemental typings to deal an insane amount of damage, right? I'm fully aware that mono teams exist, but that is Hoyoverse leaning so much towards synergy within the team that they can now forego the need for reactions. They make up for it in the synergies, and oftentimes they make up for it in constellations. That adds raw power to the elemental typing. Now, allow me to make a bold prediction before the end of this video, and I think that there is a good chance an Electro artifact will come out which will have a 2-piece set that gives elemental mastery. It could be a flat amount or it could be a percentage amount. There's a high chance of it being a percentage amount. And going forward, I think Hoyoverse will want to build Electro characters off of elemental mastery scaling with Dendro. Gone are going to be the days where there are traditional Electro focused reactions. Yes, the currently existing ones will all stay, and I think these could be considered Gen 1 Electro teams, and then we're now essentially going to be moving into Gen 2 Electro teams. Electro's future seems really bright, and I gotta say, I'm extremely happy for this potential outcome. Does that mean this is exactly how it's going to happen? No, absolutely not. Yaimiko could still feel very underwhelming. Her artifact set could scale off of a 2-piece Electro bonus buff and a 4-piece of whatever. And Kuki Shinobu could have an awkward HP elemental mastery scaling that just never works out no matter how you build her, even with Dendro teams. That could very well be our future, but I would like to think that Hoyoverse is competent enough to understand the lackings of certain characters in this game and how and what to do to make them feel more satisfying to play. Alright, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye.